Welcome to another video.
What kind of situations in China would a foreigner need a lawyer? So guys, you might be wondering why I'm sitting with somebody else wearing a suit, which you never see in my videos because I'm usually the only one. But believe it or not, he's a lawyer. What we're going to do is we're going to be talking about the kind of situations in China where you might need a lawyer. Because personally, having lived here for more than 12 years now, I haven't actually run into a situation where I've needed a lawyer, but that doesn't mean that you won't. So maybe you're interested in bringing in a company or starting a company here. Maybe you get into some kind of legal trouble. We're not going to just sit here on a couch. We're going to walk around the office and we're going to discuss this, but I thought maybe you could just introduce yourself before we get going.
Great. Well, I'm Marco Kim Parrish, and I'm from Inc. Law Firm, and we also have a brand called Corporation China, and we of course help a lot of foreign companies coming into China, from Deutsche Bank to Taylor Swift. We do Star Wars, we do Disney, and we really just facilitate companies coming in and also do all the legal structures and legal problems.
So we're going to take a little walk around your office here so people can see what a law firm looks like in China.
Yeah, great.
So let's take a walk.
Yeah, so let me just look around here. So the first thing is this is just some of our locations.
Right.
And as you can see on here, all the different locations. So we've got 40 offices in China, and we started with one in Beijing.
So wait, are you one of the bigger law firms in China then?
We're the biggest law firm in Asia Pacific.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest, yeah.
So the biggest law firm in Asia Pacific?
Correct. Yeah.
Here we are, fantastic.
And also, yeah, we have 5,000 lawyers. Here's some of them.
All right.
And so we've got them in of course, they're doing from divorce to criminal law to basically, foreign direct investment,
Okay.
trademark law and things like that.
What kind of situations in China would a foreigner need a lawyer?
Well, hopefully never need a
Hopefully
lawyer.
never,
But
right.
actually, the thing is, I think it's more like prevention than is better than the cure, right? So,
Right.
of course, if you're into some bad things, of course, then you'll need a lawyer. So don't do bad things. That's
Don't
the
do
first
bad
thing.
things, okay.
But actually, as I was talking to you earlier on about, like, say, trademark registration,
Right.
People come to China, they think, we will save money not having a lawyer, so we won't have the proper contracts.
Yeah.
So they won't do work contracts with the employees, so they'll employ people, and they will say, actually we protected because we don't have a contract.
But that's not true, right?
Yeah. So, but after 1 month, they will try to sue you and say, like, they want 3 months salary, and you'll have a lot of issues with that, and then you might need a law firm to be able to solve this problem, because then it will affect your company and a lot of other things.
So basically, if you're a business owner and you're starting a company here in China, in mainland China, of course, you need a lawyer to help you with things like, labor disputes and things.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's, I would say, one of the reasons.
Another thing you guys do is like trademark stuff.
Yeah, very important.
Okay.
As I said, I was mentioning earlier, people trying to come into China, they start to do marketing first or advertising in China, but they forgot that they didn't register their trademark.
That's a big problem. I mean, I know from experience, I have a friend who owns a bar up in Huizhou, and his bar became really successful, and he registered the trademark in Huizhou.
Yeah.
But then he wanted to open it in a neighboring city. But obviously he went in and he got the signage done. He actually started the bar and then he went to the local office. But somebody, like pretty much 2 nights before, had seen his bar go up and had gone to the local office and registered his trademark.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, like Costa Coffee, all these very big companies coming into China, they all had the same problem.
Yeah, you guys actually got Costa Coffee in here, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. It's first come, first serve.
Right.
So, like Taylor Swift, of course, people know Taylor Swift, so they registered all her trademarks. So she had to go and basically fight them and bring them all back.
Right.
Disney, all their trademarks were taken. So Disney doesn't play anymore. If you got the trademark, they will really come after you with everything.
Right.
So it's better it's so cheap to register the trademark, and it's so easy. Just fill in a couple of forms, give us the logo, and it's done. And then you can forget about it. Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, other than like trademark stuff, what other big legal disputes do people usually run into here?
I would say, let me just...
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
This is a bit weird, guys, I know.
Yeah, okay. No, basically, I think it's basically cooperating with Chinese companies, and then eventually maybe you'll be cheated.
Right, cheating, yeah.
So then you realize, hold on, I own the trademark, I own this, I have the rights for everything, it's my idea, and you are just cooperating with me. But then they go, okay, let's look at the contract. then they realized that the contract wasn't done properly.
Yes,
or
and it's all written, something is written in Chinese that,
and the English translation is not exactly. So then you
Sure.
have this dispute, and it might be millions of so we have a lot of that.
okay, so contracts, guys, super important. And I know this just from people I've met over the years, because China has a very almost opaque system here, especially with the language barrier. What will happen is people will very often write in Chinese in the contracts, clauses that are beneficiary to them, but
Correct.
not to you. And because you can't read Chinese, you just skim it over and you accept that the English translation is correct,
Yeah.
sign it, and then you're in a lot of trouble. So it is
Correct.
always good to have your own
And
lawyer.
of course, they always, in China, they always try to make friendship with you. Don't worry, we're friends.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything, and things like that. And then, actually, when you have no money,
Yeah,
they're quite good friends. But as soon as the company starts making lots of money,
yeah.
and there's a lot of intellectual property and designs and everything that you basically gave to them, then they start getting sticky.
Right.
Then
right.
they start to do things and eventually try to push you out. Try not to open a joint venture, because if you joint venture with them, basically it's going to be very hard to resolve the case. If you
Understand.
rather cooperate is better.
Cooperate is better. So I know things have changed over the years, but at least years ago when I tried to open a company here, myself personally, there were these rules that you couldn't open a company unless you had a Chinese partner. Is that still the
No,
case?
now it's
Okay.
called, now China has something called a wholly owned foreign enterprise.
Great.
So of course then you're a foreigner, it can be owned by a Hong Kong company or individual.
Right.
Simple setup, and we can supply the registered address, so you don't need a real office.
Okay.
We can supply all that and everything for you guys, visas and things. And with that structure, you can cooperate. You use the cooperation is more easy with another Chinese company, where
Right.
you sign a type of cooperation agreement.
That's cool.
And you keep all the you keep everything. Then they always need you. As soon as you give them everything, they don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
And once they've used you up, they'll throw you out.
I understand.
And if you really upset them, they might even bring false charges against you and throw you out of China.
This is something I actually wanted to discuss, and this is something that's always concerned me because, being a foreigner here, you don't really have the rights that a local person does. In fact, you don't have that at all. And it's very easy for, any kind of dispute, if it arises, all they need to do is threaten to get you kicked out, and that's a big problem.
Well, that's because you don't have the largest law firm behind you. So
Okay, that's true.
But it's now a little bit more difficult to do that, because of course they have to prove a lot of things first, and when it goes to court, it depends on of course not what you know, but also what agreements you have and thing like that.
Okay.
And it's very hard for them to do it now. There's some other meeting rooms with some clients signing contracts in the background.
Very nice. Very nice.
And we are well connected to. In China, you're going to be connected to the right kind of parties.
People, yes, of course.
So of course this is Guanxi.
Yeah, Guanxi is one of the most important things in China.
So it's getting to know people and
Yeah.
all that is really important. You know?
So what about things like maybe divorce cases? Because I think most of the time when people seek legal advice overseas, I think a lot of it's got to do with sort of marriage disputes or
Correct,
maybe trying to make claims and stuff.
The easiest way to avoid divorce is not get married, but and it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think for divorce, if you married a Chinese person, actually the Chinese law says you both can divorce if you both agree. But if one doesn't agree, if you agree and she doesn't agree, you can't get divorced.
Yeah,
you have to have both to agree. So it only costs it's free or 14 RMB to divorce.
Sure.
If they both agree. But what a lot of people do is they escalate it. And once you escalate it with a Chinese wife or a Chinese partner, then they make it a very big problem. And then it's very hard to divorce. And then so actually the easiest way then to divorce is to be separated for 2 years, and then divorce, say, in your own country.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Without her being there. And then you get the record from that country that you're single, and you can come back, and then you can cancel your divorce this side. It's a long process.
You can actually cancel your marriage here if you have a certificate of divorce from your own country?
Yes, from your own country. So in China, it can be very, very difficult. And if there's house and children involved,
that's difficult.
It can be very tricky,
Yeah, I must say, and rather than just ask you all these plethora of questions, because obviously it's your job, what I want is I want you guys to know that there is an option, right? Because for a lot of foreigners that are in China or who have visited China or who are doing business in China, they often hit a brick wall.
Sure.
And they just give up because you're trying to fight against a system that you have no comprehension of,
Sure.
and a very unfair system to be fair. It's really, really unfair
It is a bit, yeah.
towards foreigners. So
Sure.
if they are in this kind of a situation, facing maybe, I don't know, they did business with a company here that stole their money, or
Yeah.
maybe somebody stole their IP theft, or
Sure.
maybe they've got something like a divorce or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or they got involved in a bar fight and they're
Yeah.
in trouble. How can they get a hold of you? Because it seems like you're the right people to talk to.
Well, our website's corporationchina.com.
Okay.
So you can just remember that. It's easy, Corporation China. My name is Marco, so
Yeah.
you can just Google us. Through our website, and I will give you some information you can put
Fantastic.
in the bottom. So I think the most important thing is just be prepared when you come to China.
Yeah.
Don't come in, make sure you have the proper contracts. Make sure that when you get married that you don't put the house in her name, put it in both of your names. And she'll say, the trick they always use
Yeah.
in China is the same trick they use for years. They say, actually, if we put it in the company name of your name or our name, it's going to be more difficult to do business China. That's total
Nonsense,
rubbish.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
total nonsense. There's no difference if it's in a Chinese person's name or in a foreign person's name,
Yeah.
because you both are legal, you're entities on your own. So it can be in a legal entity,
Yeah.
it can be in a person's entity, and if you've got that, because possession is 9/10 of the law, right?
Right,
So
right,
if
right.
you own it, there's nothing they can do about it.
I have to actually say that this is something I've been wanting to make a video about for a long time, to warn my foreign subscribers, especially the guys who are kind of getting married over here. Maybe you're meeting someone on an online dating site or something, or you've just gotten married, whatever the case. If you're here in China and you're fairly newly married, and part of Chinese culture is you have to buy a house when you
Yeah.
get married, right? This is always the case, in order to provide for the family before the family really accepts you, especially if they're younger. It's a little different if you're marrying an older woman who's already been divorced or something. But the fact of the matter is the family will always push you to buy property.
Correct. Yeah.
And a lot of guys have been duped, because what will happen is they'll get married and then the family will pressure them to buy the property, and then the wife will divorce, and then you lose all that money because it's really expensive.
It's very expensive.
Yeah,
you
and
could buy
Yeah.
for a very small apartment. Yeah, you could buy a
Like-
luxury villa anyway.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, like on the beach of the south of France or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. So be very careful of this. And when you buy a property in your wife's name only, there's no chance in
There's no
hell
way.
you're going to get it back.
Never. It doesn't
Never.
matter what contracts you have, because she's the owner.
I do think that's very valuable advice. It's not trying to be anti-China or anything, but
Yeah, for sure.
as a foreigner, you can be taken advantage of so easily, and I know a lot of people who have. So I really wanted to say thank you for, first of all, showing me around the largest law firm in Asia, basically, and second of all, for taking the time to discuss some of these tricky subjects. I'm sure you've helped a lot of people.
I hope I have, yeah. So if they've got any questions, they can always give us a shout and come for a coffee. And,
Okay, yeah, you guys have your own coffee shop in here,
yeah,
basically.
Inca
That's cool.
coffee, so,
Thank you. I'm going to leave all your contacts down below, and can
Excellent.
you do me a favor? Could you tell everyone out there to stay awesome?
yeah, please stay awesome.
Cool. Right.
Great.
See you guys in the next one. Cheers.